Well, hello, everybody. It looks like we're live. Let me see just to make sure.
Well, hello, everybody.
Oh, well, it definitely sounds like it's doing that, and I've got to mute everything over here. 1 second. Sure. Boy, too many windows pop open when you go live on this thing. I have like 3 different windows that pop up and repeat what I say. So, well, good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock Arizona time, and it is the I believe the 8th of November, right? Or no, it looks like the 8th of November. And I wanted to love the scenery. Which scenery? Which scenery do I have? Oh, you mean the trees blowing in the background? You know, I was going to play a little bit of a joke and have somebody put a little cardboard gray alien there popping his head up in the back behind the window. So hello, everybody. I see the room's filling up quickly. We'll kind of let it get going here. I'm trying a little bit of something new here with by using Zoom conference, where people can call in and listen. And if they, I was looking for a participant ID for people that could call in and ask questions, but it looks like that they pop up when they've registered in Zoom. So we'll give this a shot, and I'm going to see if this, I'll try to refine it better. So please, I apologize, accept my apology for it not working properly on this time, on this go around. It looks like it might be a little bit complicated, but we will see. So I do have 4 participants waiting that would like to ask questions. So let me try to move this out of the way here. It's amazing that this that the technology allows me to bring these folks on to have these conversations. I did want to be able to do this. I'll get better at this and figure out how Zoom's conference system works with regards to people calling in and being able to ask questions and come on, and I can bring you on in video or just audio only, or audio and video. And Terry says the video is amazingly crisp. Well, that's good. So after all of the revamping of the equipment here, it seems like everything has been working quite a bit better. So I appreciate all of the support from everybody during those down times. It's good to see Terry Reed, Vin Daniel, Jay White, Dan Van Velle, Brooke, Love Matters, Gordon McWhorter. Good to see you, Gordon. Paula Jean, Vernon Brinker, Mike, Lance Wheeler, Rachel James, Brigitte Parent, Joshua Berry, or B3 Yeri, something like that. Chili Boy, Vivian Scott, Rainbow Citizen, Firewheel Farm, Maurice Moore, Sandra Lynn Bainter. Wonderful to see everybody showing up. Wendy W, now it's really rolling, even though I do have chat on slow chat. So 30 seconds for each chat, just so people can, try to read the questions and get a little bit better grip, but it doesn't seem to help too much when you have, 400 people in the room and up to 1,000 when this thing really gets going. So I wanted to, the reason why I put, can you survive the future events coming and how? Now, as we've always said, that there are incredible amounts of synchronicities that go on within our lives, that we'll hear something and then we hear somebody else talk about it. And there's no question that, when I put this up, I was actually putting this up because there is quite a bit of story where the mainstream media, whenever the mainstream media picks up on something and begins parroting it, you have to wonder just why they're doing it. So particularly when multiple mainstream media outlets do that. So when CNN and Fox and MSNBC, all stations that are divided politically, all of a sudden start talking about the same thing and having the exact same message. And if you doubt that the media companies do that, well, you can type in news parrots each other, I believe, in YouTube, and you'll see the media outlets all over the country saying the exact same words, even about mundane things. So just ridiculous little stories that they make sure that all of the media companies parrot. So Crystal Keith says that I'm frozen, but I still show that my right now that my stream health is good. So that might be on your end, Crystal. So Carol Ann Steindorf asks, what future events? Well, that's what I'm going to get into, because it is not going to be one single event. There are multiple different things that right now are on the horizon, and which one takes place first or last or middle is really kind of irrelevant, but it's not going to help you prepare. And so when I speak to people, I go, there is nothing that you can do to prepare externally for the things that are coming upon the world. You really can't. There isn't a place that you can be or a physical location that is going to help you make it through what is going to be coming. They're trying to freeze your meat popsicle suit. Yes, it's actually been a little bit cold out here, so maybe so. That there is nothing that you can do externally in this 3D physical world, that there is nothing that you can do to prepare for what is coming upon us. And so I wanted to talk to you about that, because this is going to be very important. And as I was mentioning this, Jacob Israel today mentioned it on his show as well, on his live show today, where he mentioned the message that I had, the video that I had yesterday. If you have not seen it, please go watch that video from yesterday, where I am discussing the really the kingdom within, and the reason for that this external world that we live in, this external life, is something that you truly need to escape, that this is death, and that you need to graduate into life. Now, at the same time that all of these things are going on, as I'm speaking of synchronicities, I had intended to talk about the news media parroting the same story about 3 massive asteroids that will fly, quote, dangerously close to Earth this weekend. And as synchronicity would have it, Jacob Israel also brought this up. And as synchronicity would have it, Naughty Beaver has also had the 3 Days of Darkness video. If you have not seen that video, you can watch Naughty's video on the 3 Days of Darkness. Now, he's playing essentially a video that is what we would call channeled information. And there's no doubt about it that channeled information most definitely comes, that things are channeled to people, and these details are given. I cannot say that somebody isn't receiving information when I've received information in the very same way. So information and visions and very much just outward speaking, just very, very loud voices telling you, almost screaming from within you, very specific words, even words that I've never even used or even known before. And in many ways, sometimes I have to find a way to translate it and speak it to you in a way that it will be understood. So as we get into this show, I will get into see if I can bring in some of these participants, and we'll give that a shot. So also, John X Army has been talking about some of the things coming as well. Now, again, we've got asteroids that have been brought up. We have polarity shifts that have been brought up. We have magnetosphere issues coming up. We have lots of different things that are taking place, but make no mistake that the things that are coming, I would say probably the closest that I've heard to what to experience or what to expect. Naughty discusses, well, he doesn't necessarily discuss, he plays the videos that during the 3 Days of Darkness, the purpose of this work is the preparation for ascension. Now, these are all things that are going hand in hand together. So I would expect that we're going to experience some pretty remarkable things over the coming year. And John X Army, Theodora says, John X Army love. Yes, John X Army is definitely waking up, and he's got some wonderful things to say. He's a little more dramatic than I am. I think that many of you that have already come here and know me on this channel is that I am fairly level about how I approach these things. I don't want to call them fear porn, just like he says he doesn't like doesn't even like that phrase. Neither do I, because warning you of something that is coming that seems so difficult to face is always going to sound like fear, because it causes fear in you. But just as Naughty was discussing, and that I've always discussed, that the true ascension, the true surviving of the things to come, is losing your fear. And the only way that you lose fear is facing the things that are going to happen before they happen, confronting all of your fears before those fears come to fruition physically. Then you know what to expect. And when things come upon you, you can relive it already. I've been through this. I've seen this. I've walked through this, and I've survived this. And so that is truly a preparation. So please don't think that this is, causing fear or trying to cause that fear within you, and more so that it is trying to help you face those fears by showing you and giving you examples as to what to expect. So I do suggest, without going through, there's no need for me to repeat what Naughty said. There's no need for me to report what Jacob Israel said, when you can go and watch those on their channel. And this is a community. This is a community where, I'm not trying to absorb all of the views and all of the eyeballs and all of the statements. I don't have an interest in, exalting myself and, look, I'm the one that said this and gave you a date. I don't care. I don't care how we receive the information. I only care that you receive the information that's intended to be spoken. So Sandy Sims says, Tracy, that was a serious question for Derek. Let me go back and try to see that serious question, if I can find Tracy's question. I don't see it. So maybe Tracy, just re-ask the question if you would, and I will try to get to that. Crystal Keith says, Derek, your health is getting better. Your skin tone is glowing today. I'm glad you feel better. I do. I feel a lot better. Although today I'm a little tired. Whenever I spend a lot of time meditating and reading, that it seems to take a lot out of me, and it will drag you down a bit. So thank you very much, Existence Mine. I appreciate that. Terry Zepp says Schumann resonance. Yes, the Schumann resonance has been quite erratic. And if you haven't, you can just look up the Schumann resonance, and you can look at where it's gone, and it'll kind of give you an idea. It's not the only barometer as to why you feel certain ways. That's just one of the barometers. It's one thing of multiple combating energies that we have throughout this planet right now. Now, there's also, you can look up, there is a yellow haze around the Earth right now that they've been taking pictures from the International Space Station. And now keep in mind that whenever NASA or anybody gives it a name, they give it a name and they say, this is called XYZ. When they give it a name, it's intended to make you feel like that it's happened before. So you pass it off as, oh, well, they know what that is, so not to worry about it. But the reality is they've never seen it before, and they say as much. So swamp gas, yes, it's just swamp gas, folks. And as Rex Bear says, it's, they're just doing that because they love us so much. So shout out from PA. Hello, everybody. Good to see you, Fred, Bill H, NASA. Yes, NASA is quite full of wonderful truths, aren't they? Good to see Wisdom's Wildcard in the house. Melissa Lewis, Magpie. So Iowa X, I haven't seen you here before. Maybe you have been, I just missed it, but moderators will boot this one right out of here about having interesting things with other people. So yes, Darius Marzangiani, or whatever that name is, get out of here. We don't need you here. I'm typically not hard, except for just trolls, which just try to disrupt things. And that's precisely what Darius is. He's not refuting anything. He just comes in with vulgar statements. So moderators, you can feel free to boot anybody like that at any time. So I wanted to get to the three asteroids. Now, first, I just want to help you understand that what is going to take place will most likely not be an asteroid, but this is certainly a, I would say, an attempt to distract you or to change your understanding of what comes. Because the truth of the matter, if a large meteor was to impact this Earth, particularly at the speeds at which they are traveling, you could expect that it would ignite the atmosphere pretty instantly based on the size of it. If we're talking asteroids that are miles wide, and in some cases, asteroids that are flying dangerously close and that are within the field right now, because the asteroid field and the sheer amount of asteroids that are within the field that would be considered potential impactors of Earth is rather large, and it has grown substantially over the past 20 years. So we have a pull that is bringing these in closer. But if an asteroid were to impact that was, as some of them, one that actually even became that came in between the moon and the Earth, which is considered a close shave. If one of those were to impact us directly before it ever even hit the ground, it would ignite and superheat the Earth's atmosphere to such a degree that nothing would survive. So nothing in this 3D world would survive. So that could jolt us pretty instantly into a different sphere of living, and you wouldn't really know it. And yes, that would be in the twinkling of an eye. So that is a real threat and a real concern of things that we have. And I'm not going to get into whether space is real or any of that. I'm not what I call the third rail of the conspiratorium, or the truth seekers. The third rail is having a conversation about whether space exists or Earth is flat. Again, like I've said many times, it doesn't matter what shape the Earth is. If destruction is coming to it, it's going to be destruction, whether it's a triangle, flat, square, round. It doesn't matter. So those become almost arguments that I would consider AI arguments that push these arguments out there to be a distracting element within your life, so you don't pay attention to the real truth, which is within you. And that's what I'm here discussing today, that I believe is the only message right now for today. And that message is that in preparation for what is to come, as I've said, you can look at all of the different types of warnings from Nadi and John X Army and Jacob Israel and other channels out there. You can see what the potential is. You can see the potential calamities within the political calamities. You can see the dollar falling. You can see wars, rumors of wars. Let your hearts not be troubled, for all of these things must come to pass. So this is those things come as a result of the energies that are being built up. And so when you understand and you begin to read the scriptures and you understand what Christ's words are, this is why I continuously emphasize his words, and that you pay attention specifically to what he says, because he speaks about this kingdom within you, that is where the real life is. That's where your real life is. It's not anywhere else. It's not over there or over there. It's right here. So I'm going to continually harp on this, particularly in the coming weeks, because there's definitely some things taking place. As many of you know, we've been arranging for the Witness in the Desert event, and I'm going to show you the location here where we're going to be staying on Google Earth. And let me go to that right now. So this location is, you'll see from the air, this mountain here looks like an eagle's head with the eye there and the beak. And this location inside of this monument right here is where we will be located during this event. Now, there's shade the vast majority of the day, so there is not a ton of sunlight there, but yet the important part is that the wind will be blocked by this by the wall that surrounds us. And this is not a small monument, folks. This is a remarkable place. So you can see within this area here, this is a wall. Let me go to the 3D version of this so you can take a look. So this is where we will be staying, obviously, Flying Eagle. This is the Flying Eagle Monument. And there are caves and lots of things to explore. And we are talking with the clans there with Navajo. And we will have some folks here that actually own this property. And they own this property, and we've already spoken with them. We have some great people there. Rick, Jeanette, and Gordon have been up there already. In fact, they could be watching us right from this very location as we speak. I'm not quite sure exactly where they're at right now. But this is going to be quite terrific. Now, if Naughty were here and he was going to attend, I was going to put Naughty's tent right up on top of this rock here. Just, you know, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with you guys. So that is the monument. I hope that that's an acceptable location for this, and we will send out the groups from that location. Now, with that said, there are even the Navajo up there. When spoken to, they've been talking about crews that are already up there in different locations. Now, as I told you, that it was confirmed to me that there is a major corporation, and I said that I would not disclose who the corporation is to the people that told me, but I can just tell you there is a major corporation up there that to me confirms scripture when it says he comes with a bow over his head. And that corporation up there is stated to, and this is according to other people, not just this contact, but that they are there to shoot an alien coming off of a alien vessel. Now, I'm not one to say that this is that it's wrong or untrue. I'm just telling you what I know. So it looks like that we've got 828 people in the chat room, but yet chat seems to have teetered out here. So I'm going to do a refresh here and make sure that we are online. Sorry, Brooke Bollinger or Bollinger, promoting your channel within this chat room is not cool. So you know, if you want me to promote your channel, then send your content to me. I'll take a look at it. And if you've got something that I think that people should see, then I'll show them. So did everybody like the looks of the monument there? You can tell me in the chat room what you think. Good to see Stealth Drone Tech back. I haven't seen you in a while. Either that or just the chat rooms have gotten so large. So with that said, I want you to, like I said, I really do truly want you to watch Naughty Beaver's video. It is, the title of his video is Naughty Beaver's Guide to the 3 Days of Darkness. Now, I'm going to try to bring somebody on here. I know that there are some folks that we've got 11 participants here. I'm going to see if I can bring in Jonathan Bader, who had a question, and I thought it would be interesting to see if we can make this work. So this will be the first run. This is just a test run, folks, and we'll see how this works. And if this works for you, then I'll refine it, get better at it, and we'll do this more often. So Jonathan Bader, I've got you on, and you are unmuted, I believe. Can you hear me? Let me unmute you. Okay, let's see. Well, I have unmuted you. Maybe you need to unmute yourself. See, this is why I said it's just a test. So, Jonathan, if you can click on your mic on your screen and remove the little slash from it, you should be able to speak. I've got your talking open. All right, well, couldn't make that one work. I've got Mike Fryer. I'm not sure whether you have a question, but let's see how well this works. Mike, can you hear me? Hello, Mike. Can you hear me? Well, it doesn't look like Mike wants to speak. Mike, can you hear me? All right. Looks like I can't get him going either. Let's try one more time. We've got Crystal Clear. Crystal Clear, can you hear me? Crystal Clear, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, great. So it's finally working. Did you have a question or were you just listening in?
I'm listening in.
All right. Well, I'll put you back on. We finally can hear somebody talking and you're just listening in.
One.
All right. Appreciate that. All right. So let's try Jonathan Bader again. Still trying to unmute you, Jonathan. I'm going to try Shaw Rush. Shaw Rush. Do you have a question? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Do you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to iterate for those that may be first time users with Zoom, that where you're talking about where the mic was.
Yes.
If you use the audio settings and test your microphone first to see whether or not your speakers and your microphone works before you raise your hand, you might have a better time or a better opportunity to converse back and forth, like how me and Crystal Clear were able to talk to you first.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you very much for giving them a little education. Much appreciated. Awesome. So did you hear that? Test your mic out. Let's go to David Lucas and see if we can hear him. David, can you hear me? David. Well, David, can you hear me? I can hear you. Well, looks like we don't have David, so I will.
I know
can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you now, David.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
Oh, no. I just if it bumped, it was by mistake. I'm still listening. I'm just
okay. Thanks so much.
Listening.
My mic's unmuted, Derek.
So who do we have now? Jonathan?
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan. So you had a question earlier. We had spoken earlier. You want to ask your question again?
Yep. Regards the lake of fire, Derek. Is it a purification process now to the event or in the actual event, 3-day event?
Well, you know, as I've spoken about, refinement is always by fire. The lake of fire is in everything. When you hear on earth as it is in heaven, when you hear as above, so below, and you hear those statements, is that there is a duality to everything in this realm that we live in. So in that reality and in that duality of the reality, you're going to have both. That lake of fire will be a refinement for you now, during these troubling times, that refinement will refine all of the fears that are in you. And should you make it past all of those fears, and should you make that through that is the refinement. So that is a lake of fire, and escaping that lake of fire is essentially what has taken place. Now, if you maintain those fears and your consciousness resides within those fears, well, that's what you end up with for a very long time. So it's all up to you. That's why I emphasize so greatly that the kingdom is within you, that there is no external force that can damage you.
Like basically letting go of everything and just accepting that we're mortal.
Yes, accepting that you are immortal. I mean, you don't have to. There doesn't need to be a concern about that. What happens is that you want to make sure that your immortal understanding is in the truth, is in you, that you don't want to be eternal in these fears. Imagine it being, a Groundhog Day, that you're just reliving these fears for eternity. And that to me is the most terrifying thing. So that's why getting rid of these fears, getting rid of everything in this world is an illusion. Everything.
Yeah.
There isn't anything here that is real. So to focus on that it's when it's not real, becomes something that is embedded in your consciousness. It becomes who you are, that you become a non-existent person, that you're just embedded with fears. You live in those fears. And that's definitely not where you want to be.
No,
Where are you calling from, Jonathan?
Wales in the UK.
Oh, Wales. I've been there. Beautiful place.
Yeah, apart from the rain.
Yeah, except for the rain. Well, I lived in Seattle for quite some time, so very similar weather.
Lovely to meet you anyway, Derek. Pleasure.
Likewise, Jonathan. I appreciate the question.
Thanks.
So now I have Tracy on here. So I'm going to see if Tracy has something to say. She usually has something good to say. So let me see so she's unmuted. So Tracy, I can hear you fine. So this is Tracy, the wonderful moderator that many of you have already met within the chat rooms.
Yes, I've been going back and forth doing a little moderating and then coming over here. And I'm managing it all pretty well on my smartphone. Well, I don't have anything to say about this, all of this information coming in other than to put it on a shelf and not be in fear and all that, because we don't know the day or the hour when any of this stuff's going to happen, but it does sound like there may be some things going on out there at the desert with this corporation you're talking about. So that might be kind of interesting, or more than interesting.
Yes, and oddly enough, Tracy, it happens to be happening right when we're going to be there.
Yes, that's very, very interesting indeed, isn't it?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Hope everyone has their cameras out.
Well, there'll definitely be enough cameras there as long as the people that I've been purchasing them from send them.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had some cameras show up where we've ordered the camera and the microphone, and just the microphone showed up and not the camera. So I'm spending some time digging those out of the doldrums. So, well, Tracy, keep doing a great job.
I do have a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
It's not on this topic though.
Okay.
It's I made a little video a few days ago, and I'm going to be doing a little research on the code behind what Christ had to say at the Last Supper. So anything you can, that I would greatly appreciate.
Now, this is a video that you made when?
Oh, it was a few days ago in reference to the blood sacrifice, because the people that I am able to talk to that are even open to hearing this new truth that I have come across, their question is, well, what about the scriptures that talk about the Last Supper and what Christ had to say about the blood and this and that? Because to them, that sounds like he is giving reference to the blood, the coming blood sacrifice, like code for that, perhaps.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's not what he was referencing. He wasn't telling people to drink his blood, although he was saying those very words. But the drinking of the blood is drinking of the life. The life is in the blood. So drinking of his life, of what he was explaining, who he is, you need to also drink of that. That when you drink of that water, his life, that blood, the blood of his life. So the symbolism of the words is being, drink of my blood. Everything that is in me, it now becomes your life. That's the message that was behind it. That's the message that I'm always speaking of, that Christ is within you. He's saying, you drink of this blood, your blood, there is a transmutation that takes place. Eat of my flesh, eat of the life that I lived in the flesh, and eat of the life that I lived with my blood, with this transmutation that I am different. He's not telling you to literally eat his flesh and literally drink his blood. And he's not saying that he's going to be sacrificed, but at the same time, he knew he was going to be killed. So, but this is why he laid down his life. So now if he laid down his life let me put it this way. Does a sheep lay down its own life when it's sacrificed? No, it's taken by somebody that is stronger than him, right? Now, right. Christ said, I lay down my life. They're not taking it. And that's even why he said to Pilate, when he said to Pilate, Pilate said, don't you know that I have the power to free you or kill you? And he said, you have no power unless it is given by the Father. So you can't kill me unless I'm intended to die. And if I'm intended to die, it will be me laying down my life, not you taking it, right? Regardless of your intention, I'm doing this intentionally. And so he was intentionally doing it for a number of reasons. Number one, he was going to demonstrate and to prove that the enemy of the world requires blood sacrifice. So they would be coming after him to kill him, because he has, and this is articulated in John when Caiaphas is saying, don't you know it's better for one to die than the entire nation, that they intended on killing him as a blood sacrifice. So he was saying, do you see how the enemy works? The ruler of this world, if you recall, is coming for me, he said. Who's the ruler of this world? Well, we know that the ruler of this world is Satan. So the enemy of this world is coming for me as a blood sacrifice. But me, in defiance of him, I could just go away into the wilderness right now and stop saying these things, and these people will never kill me. But instead, I'm going to intentionally go do that and go into the enemy's realm, completely free within my spirit, completely free within my consciousness, completely connected to the Father. And there he will not be able to do anything to me. And I will defeat death in doing so, because the enemy in this world has created a fear of death, even though you're already dead in this world. Right. So he's created this overwhelming fear of dying. Getting past that overwhelming fear of dying is precisely what has to happen, because that is the fear that is held over us. And everything that we do here is intended to do just that. I see John King has shown up in the conference list for a caller. So I'll bring John. John, I'll bring you on here next. So, but yes, this is where this, where that scripture actually does say precisely. And this is, again, Tracy, this goes to how we've been taught,
Right.
how we've been dogmatically taught to see things only one way. And we're not allowed to question what it is, right? And when you question it, they go, you don't question the word of God. Well, what do you mean? I'm questioning your understanding. I'm not questioning the words written. I'm questioning your understanding. I'm questioning what you're teaching. I'm questioning what you're teaching in contrast to what Christ said, because some of these things don't jibe. But you've never been allowed to ask those questions. But today we're not only asking those questions, but we're destroying the dogmatic points of view that the church has held. And the church, as I spoke with Jacob Israel, is essentially John the Baptist. And that's why Christ cursed the fig tree. That he cursed the fig tree. He went to John the Baptist, or he went to the fig tree to say, give me some fruit, give me some truth, give me some food that I can use in this day, right now, today. And that tree, that fig tree, represents the church that we have today. It could offer him no fruit. It could offer him nothing to eat. It could offer him no truth. It could offer him no salvation, because the truth of the matter is the church has not been explaining to you and telling you the truth about salvation and what it is. And so he said, cursed are you that you will never bear fruit again. And this is precisely where I said that John the Baptist is also representative of the fig tree. And that when Christ cursed the fig tree and said, you will never produce fruit again, that essentially is the statement that John made. So he wasn't cursing the fig tree all on his own. John's the one that made the original statement that said, I must decrease and he must increase. This new truth must increase, and my lack of truth and the way that we've been teaching must decrease. I came at my time signaling that he would come. He's here now. Now I go away and he rises up. And that's what's taking place right now with the organized Christian church and all religions for that matter.
Yeah. And of course, they use his words regarding the blood to support their indoctrination.
Yes. Good to see Relentless Maverick in the house. Yes, they use those words to support their version of the indoctrination and the dogmatic points of view that, by the way, do not produce any fruit for you. People can say, oh, well, hey, 800 people accepted Christ at our church. Like this one pastor that I know, posted the number, 800 people, accepted Christ. I couldn't tell you how many people. I could tell you how many subscribers I have, but I couldn't tell you how many people have accepted Christ within them here. I can only hope that you've accepted Christ within you, right? But that's a process that takes place. It's not some magical incantation where you walk up on some pulpit and you say a line. That doesn't function that way. As many of you already know, that accepting Christ within you is a process of refinement. That is getting past this world. This is not an easy gig. It is tough. That's why it's a narrow gate.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to John. Good to have you on, Tracy. Everybody, Tracy has a channel. Just click on her name in the chat room on the three little dots. Go to her channel, watch her video. She's got great things to say. So should be a good support mechanism for you. All right, so I'll go to John. Let me see. John Keene. John Keene, are you with me? Let me see if I can get you on here, John. Not showing you back up on here, John. Let me see what's happened. So I want to get John on. John's always got great things to say, but for whatever reason, John, do I have you with me? Oh, look at that. John's on the show, video and all. John, I can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I hear you.
Yeah, it was really weird when you went to me. It kicked me out real quick, so I had to jump back in.
Yeah, it does that. It'll kick you out and bring you right back in, though. That just because I promoted you to a panelist. So how are things in your location, John?
They're good, man. They're pretty awesome. I had a question for you. I had seen recent videos from Naughty Beaver, from Jeff Doherty, and you're talking about religious dogma. How do you perceive the 3 days of darkness?
3 days of darkness.
Do you know about that?
Yes, I do. And that's what Naughty's video. I've been pointing people to Naughty's video today during the earlier part of this show. The 3 days of darkness is, again, just like I was saying earlier about as above, so below, on earth as it is in heaven, that in this three-dimensional space that we live in, we have dual meanings to things. So just like the lake of fire comment that I made earlier, there's dual meanings to that. And the same goes for 3 days of darkness. 3 days of darkness in the same way that Christ's 40 days in the wilderness wasn't necessarily 40 days in the desert, but it was 40 days in the wilderness when he is completely awakened to the truth of everything. You are in a wilderness. Everybody in this chat room right now can testify to their 40 days in the wilderness when they first learned these truths, that you walk around, you see everything new, you go to the store, you look at everything new. People are now robots to you. You hear the lies within the church's statements. You are in the wilderness. You're just lost. So the 3 days of darkness is also similar, but also from a cosmological standpoint with what we're about to go through. There will be 3 days of darkness. There won't just be 3 days of darkness from a physical standpoint. And I don't know what happened to my video here, but it just went away. There it is. It won't just be 3 days of darkness from a physical standpoint, but it'll be 3 days of darkness from a spiritual standpoint, that the light, the only light that you're going to be able to rely on is the light that is within you. Because we will be this world will be cut off from energies. If the sun is cut off from the energy, and there is no energy on this planet, if the sun is cut off, spiritually we will be disconnected, and you will become your own light. You must be able to survive that. And that, again, is all about getting rid of the fears and understanding that it is you and that you are eternal, and being able to repeat that to yourself and know that during those times is critical. Now, you know what's so funny
you think it's just like,
go ahead.
Go ahead. You think it's just like with basically the story of how that old serpent called the devil, when it's cast out, I take that as it's being cast out of us. We're casting out, the devil from within, right? Our lower self. So you see the 3 days of darkness as the same way. But let me ask you, what about how Naughty is referring to it being part of the ascension process? Do you believe that this is the moment of ascension Can you kind of, do you know what he's speaking of? Can you clarify as far as ascension goes with the 3 days of darkness?
Yeah, ascension. Look, if we're in a three-dimensional, right? We're in a three-dimensional space here. If we are being moved from a third dimension to a fifth dimension, whether or not we're moved from a different location, that transition is ascension. It's from a dimensional standpoint, it is a transition into a higher dimension. 3 dimensions or density, right? We're in the third density. If you've got a fifth density, which is quite different than this third density, moving into that will be considered or called an ascension, that you are ascending to that level. Now, all you're really doing at that point is meeting yourself. You're only meeting yourself. You have an existence there already, but we tend to look at this third dimension as all that there is, because we can see it, taste it, smell it. This is our third dimension reality. And so we look at this as being more real than a fifth dimension reality. But when this third dimension reality begins to merge with the fifth, that's going to be a very different transition. And if you're not expecting that, you won't survive it. You won't survive it from a conscious standpoint. So, and here's the way.
Okay.
Now, guys, I'm gonna share my screen for just a second here, and I'm not gonna play this video because it's a Disney video and I don't want to get flagged. But I'm gonna share this. This is a video, Peter Pan Diamond Edition, Peter's Shadow Clip. So you can go and watch it, but this is where Tinkerbell is helping Peter Pan find his shadow. Okay? Because his shadow reacts different than he does. His shadow tries to avoid him. He's chasing his shadow all over the room. This is the message behind that, right? That is, your shadow is a higher dimensional self. It doesn't exist where we're at. So think about that when you're looking at all these messages. It was amazing because last night, Malia and I sat down. I said, you know what? I said tonight, I think I need some mindless entertainment, and I just need to not think. And crazy enough is we said, oh, we turned on Netflix and found Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Dude, I think everybody needs that, right? They need that that time to give their mind a rest, to give their mind a break, and to just enjoy themselves, unwind, relax, and remember to have fun.
Of course, and to meditate on just who you are. But unfortunately, that movie didn't do that. In fact, it's amazing because that movie was made in 1977. Steven Spielberg made it. And that movie is far more profound. The one thing about the people, that their connected consciousness, the synchronicity between all of them having a vision of the same mountain and feeling like they had to be at that one place. They were all trying to get there. And then the coming down and the exchanging of these souls or these people. So it was there. It's probably far more profound today. And the amazing part about this is, from a prophetic standpoint, John, you get my text, so you can see that my phone number is a Wyoming number, right?
Yeah.
It's Cheyenne specifically. And so here we are. You got Devil's Tower, which is in the movie, which is the large kind of tree structure. And that's where my phone number is. And the amazing thing is that before Malia and I even met, that she was told Wyoming, that she needed to be in Wyoming. And I said also the same thing. And I told her that. She was like, oh my gosh. And she's got in her notes and in her journal about being in Wyoming. And then I had asked my mom to get me a phone for me. And I said, get me a Washington State phone number. And I didn't tell her anything about Wyoming. And she got me a phone number in Wyoming, in Cheyenne. And then here's the whole movie taking place, the crescendo of the alien craft coming down and doing these things in Cheyenne, Wyoming at Devil's Tower. And I was like, is it really the Devil's Tower? Or was that maybe the Tower of Babylon, that the Tower of Babel intended to kill the devil, which then he sent his cohorts down the tower to shut them up and confuse their language. So just interesting questions that came up. So out of the mindless thinking that I was looking for, the mindless entertainment, it ended up being this massive collage of truths and an awakening and confirmations of things that we had. So it was remarkable. And not only that, as you know, I've talked about the number 33, how the Masons have used the 33 and they've taken what's fathers and demonized it. We have 33 vertebrae in our spine. 33 years was the number of Christ. And at the beginning of the movie, the very beginning of the movie, when these aircraft from 1945 are put back in the desert out in the middle of the Sonoran Desert, the very first aircraft they show right underneath the propeller, the engine number or the aircraft number is 33. So I just thought, just all over the place, all those synchronicities of the numbers you just can't get past.
Derek, do you have time for one more quick question, or do you need to let somebody else on?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I don't want to say the name of the person, but I recently seen a video, and somebody actually pointed out to my attention. And we talk about how, lots of things are the inverse and can be true both ways, right? In scripture in particular, and in all different types of things are true both ways and they have an inverse. Mm-hmm. Well, in this video, the person was stating that John the Baptist was actually Satan. How do you see that?
I can see how they would see that John the Baptist was potentially Satan, because I must decrease, he must increase. So if you look at it from a parabolic standpoint, I can certainly see how they would say that. And John, this is that's a perfect example of where when people say, "Oh, you're blasphemy about the word" or something like that, and I go, "That's nonsense," right? However, the Father needs you to hear or see the truth, he's going to. That the word is so unbelievably good, that the truth of these matters is so good and so thorough that you can find the truth in multiple ways. And that could also be a truthful statement with regards to it. If all things from a scriptural standpoint are parabolic, right? If every single one of them are just another way of telling you the truth, just like I said, the church must decrease and Christ must increase, right? The church today began with a good agenda. It's built itself up. It now is part of the beast system. It is the Antichrist. It is the organization that says you aren't Christ. You can't have Christ within you. So they've become the Antichrist. So at the same time, it was good. It was John the Baptist. It was telling you repent, that he's coming, right? Because the church has been telling you repent, Jesus is coming.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing. All of these different truths. This is why I say, don't ever say I disagree or even that I agree. Right. So you can just say, wow, that resonates with me. Try to categorize things in different ways, put it on the shelf until you can recognize and understand how that flows as a potential truth. It doesn't mean that it's the only truth. And that goes to this world where we say we want to point at something and go, this is what it means. Right? If people want to know, what it is that I delete in comments. I delete any dogmatic statement. I don't make the dogmatic statements, right? So when somebody comes in, it doesn't matter whether they're refuting something that I say or agreeing with something that I say. If they just make a dogmatic statement that says John the Baptist was Elijah and that's that, right? So kind of there is only one truth to that. No, delete, right? I'm not here to allow that any dogmatic view of anything. You've got to be open and understanding to all of these things. You've got to be willing to hear the truth. And if that's how you find the truth in John the Baptist, that he was Satan, well, he could have been representing Satan. And the reality of it is John the Baptist could have even recognized that he was representing Satan. And that's why he said, I must decrease and he must increase, because we've become an institution of the government. We've become an institution of the beast. Recognizing for that, right? He could have said that. Wow. I need to stop. I need to go away. He needs to increase because we've become the evil people. Holy crap. Right.
And when you put it that way, that made it click big time. Him essentially saying, in a way, I represent the institution, the old way of doing things. I didn't see it.
Yeah, if he didn't represent the old institution, if he didn't represent something that was bad, then why would he need the decrease?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? He was recognizing that. He said, hey, I've done my part. And guess what? We've become something that isn't good. And if what he was doing was consistently good, look, the Father's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Right? So if what he was doing was the Father's, well, then it's the same tomorrow too. Keep doing it, dude. But no, he said, I need to decrease and he must increase.
Well, wasn't he recognized by the Pharisees and the institutions as a prophet? Like, isn't that why they wanted his head? He was seen, like he was recognized, right?
He was seen and recognized, and that's why they didn't like talking bad against him, because they feared the people, right? And that he could rally the people. So he wasn't a threat to their institution because he was cooperating with them. Christ, on the other hand, was a threat because he was a rebel. So they looked at him as putting down a rebellion.
Wow. Wow, man. Yeah, that kind of just blew me away right there. When I first seen that, and when somebody brought it to my attention, I mean, I just didn't get it. I'm like, ain't he like the second holiest dude ever? You know, I don't see it. But when you put it that way, even if his intention wasn't to be evil, he was consciously saying, I need to take a step back. But wow, I mean, that's crazy. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, no problem. We've got Finish Line who said, one's point of view, where is it coming from? That's exactly it. One's point of view, where is it coming from? I can have a different point of view. I can have a different vantage point than you, like that mountain that I showed, right? So on Google Earth, let me just give you, I'm going to go share my screen again on that. So this is the location that we're going to be at right here in Monument Valley. Now, as this spins around, there's a completely different perspective, right? My point of view describing it from this angle is completely different than the point of view of somebody describing it from this angle, and so forth, right? So when you have such a thing, or this angle right here, every single different angle is different, but are we describing the same thing? Yes, of course we are. We're describing the exact same thing. So everybody, if you haven't seen this, this is Monument Valley. This is the monument where we're going to be having the event. You can see this is called the Flying Eagle. And just to reiterate, for those that have new that have shown up, we have more than 900 people in the chat room right now. So we're, let me bring your guys' chat into here.
That's absolutely beautiful, Derek.
Yeah, so this is, let me make this a little smaller here. Wait, windows popping all over the place here. I can't make this thing stop. Anyway, so here's your chat here, folks. But that right there, if you look on this monument here, when you come around this Flying Eagle right here, this is called the Sleeping Dragon. But see, this sleeping dragon, you can't actually see the dragon until you're on the ground. So that one is visible at ground level. And this eagle is visible from this level here. So I'm going to come up and let's see. There you go. So you see the eagle's head. You see the beak here. You can even see the eye right there. And the bottom of the beak right there. So this is the eagle. It's quite remarkable.
Wow.
So we will be right in that cove, blocked by the, blocking the wind, and we'll have this whole area to explore. There are roads that come down here, that come down to here. So these are dirt roads. Like I said, folks, this isn't going to be easy. Now here is Navajo Indian Hogan. So I believe that this is the family that owns the property. They will have some horses there. I'm definitely going to be going for a horseback ride. So if anybody is an experienced horse rider, you're more than welcome to come along with me.
You can ride a horse, Derek?
Oh, I've been riding since I was a little boy. I ride them bareback.
Wow.
So like just like the native peoples that would rather be on a horse bareback. So so here, folks, for those of you that didn't know earlier, I spoke of the 3 huge asteroids that will be flying dangerously close to Earth. This is in the mirror. So you can just search this headline text and you'll find this article. You can read all about it. no sense in wasting your time. But the one that would be coming closest is about a 3-mile wide asteroid, so quite large. Definitely one that will hurt a little bit. So, John, it looks like I've lost you there. I've got your audio, but I don't have your video. So I'm going to see if I can jump into some other participants here. I don't. Oh, there you are. I don't want to make this too long of a show today. The shows, when they're 2 hours, they get a little bit long for people to watch. So I want to try to keep them shorter these days and cover specific areas. And I'm happy that I was able to make this work and bring people in as panelists and ask questions. This is I hope to be able to do this more often, because I think it's important to be able to see people's faces, hear their voices, and hear their concerns and their questions.
Hey, I just want to say I appreciate you for taking my questions, Derek. And you point out these 3 asteroids. I believe it's up to 14 or 15 that we've had pass the Earth, near Earth objects over the last 28 days. So, this is. I just think that that's something to kind of for people to think about. And I truly appreciate all you do for me, brother. You're so cool, and I love you, man. And thank you for taking my questions, homie.
Love you too, brother. And we'll connect soon, and we'll do another show soon. If you haven't already, click on John's name in the chat room. John, just make sure you post something there in the chat room. Click on John's name, go to his show, or search for the Best Damn Podcast and go to John's channel. John's got some great videos, and I want to support those folks that support this channel and get these truths out. The most important thing we could do. Also, make sure that crazy enough, John, it just as I look at the likes right now it went up to 324, but it said 322, which is the Skull and Bones number. So I was like, hey, somebody quick, please click like right now. Get rid of that 322. Don't like that. All right, folks. So I'm going to try to go to somebody else here. I don't know where. I don't even really see how I can change you there, John. Oh, okay, I got it. All right, John. So I'm going to change you to attendee. Appreciate you. Love you much.
Yeah, love you, brother. Thank you.
Talk to you soon. So it's great. This I think once we polish up this Zoom conferencing and get everybody educated on your end how to use it, that'll probably be awesome. So I've got Lance from Prescott. Lance, let me see if I can bring you in here. Lance, are you available? Can you hear me, Lance? Hey, Lance, do you have a question?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just wanted to try see how this works.
All right.
No,
Well,
I don't. I just wanted to see how this works.
all righty. Well, now you know for future. Now you know for future events you can call in. So let me see. Let me go to. I've got John Radcliffe. John Radcliffe. Do you have a question? Hopefully, I didn't already call on you. I thought it was Jonathan Bader. John Radcliffe, do you have a question? Let's see if you can. John, can you hear me?
Hello, Barrett.
Hello.
Hello.
You're live.
I didn't expect to actually speak to you, so I'm at a bit of a loss. But one of the things that I was wondering about is if you live your life by the 10 Commandments, and what is the difference between living in the Father now? Is it just understanding that there's different meanings to the words that we've already been taught, and then is it just incorporating that into your daily life? Is that the message?
It is so let me just walk through some of these. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can look at the 10 Commandments. You can look at it from a gematria standpoint, so in the secrets of numbers, and that points to almost a single digit. But so let me just kind of walk through a few of these. So, thou shalt have no other gods before me, right? So, no other gods before me. You can read a lot into that text that thou shalt have no other gods before me, insinuating that there are many gods, right? And we also
Yeah.
create them. That also you've got, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images. So that would be an image of what would be God, or even giving God a name. So when people say that God has a name, if God is ineffable and the name is ineffable, then you're giving him a name. So this is narrowing down. If you were going to be giving evidence of the Father, of a singular entity that lives within all of us, a singular entity that owns everything and has created everything, this begins to narrow that down. So thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Now, also keep in mind that when it says thou shalt have no other gods, it'll be lowercase g. And when it says thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God, thy mean my, right? This is why Christ would also say my God. He doesn't say your God. He says, or he'll say you should worship the Lord your God, or he'll say my God. So he's speaking about yours, that's your God, and this is mine. So we tend to always think that if he says yours or my, that it's the same thing. It's not. So thou shalt not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. So what does that mean? Now, if you look up what vain means, it means vanity, essentially. It means for yourself. So don't take his name for yourself. And that's why I always tell everybody, when you recognize that Christ is in you, when you recognize that the Father lives in you, just like Christ said, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. But he wasn't taking that exclusively for himself, because he was telling everybody else that the Father is living, it lives inside of you, that the kingdom is within you. The kingdom of the Father is in you. But that doesn't mean that you keep it for yourself, that it's only yours. It's all of ours. So as you go through these 10 commandments and just think about them in different ways, thou shalt not kill. What does that mean? Well, Christ likened killing to hating your brother or hating your neighbor. Right? He said, though your law says thou shalt not kill, but I say that if you hated your neighbor, basically you've already done that. So how many people have killed me? Right? How many people have killed you for the things that you believe, right? They don't like you. They hate you. They cast you out. So you have to be very, very careful. Actually, Christ wasn't loosening the law. He was refining it to a point where he was taking it from the government's hands and putting the responsibility within you, in your hands and in your heart, in your kingdom itself. A lot more strict, really. And committing adultery. Now, people say adultery right now, we've learned and understood and been taught that adultery is sexuality only, right? But adultery is any violation of true value, any violation of love. If love is marriage, when you love somebody, you're married to them. When you fall in love, that's marriage. Nobody was there. There was no preacher or nobody giving a license to get married to Adam and Eve or Abraham and Sarah, right? So the whole point is that love isn't in institutions or estates or this world's at all. Love is of the Father. If you fall in love, you are married. If you have sex, you've consummated that marriage. Now, the thing is that sexual immorality, according to Revelation, is that the whore of Babylon convinces all of the nations to drink of her sexual abominations. Those sexual abominations is money, monetary schemes, the love of money, a marriage to something other than the Father, something other than the Spirit, that you have married yourself to not only a graven image, but you have committed adultery by violating true value for a lie of false value. Thou shalt not steal. Stealing, sex without love is stealing. You're taking something from yourself. It's not just about stealing something physical. There are lots of different ways. All of this points to a single law, right? The single law. So this isn't necessarily 10 commandments or 10 different laws. It's 10 different ways of telling you the same law. And that law is love. And when love is instituted, like I've said many, many times, that if you want to know the law, the true law of love and the true law of the Father, just look at a tree outside. The tree honors the law of the Father. Everything in this world, except for mankind, honors the love and the law of the Father. It's that they don't take anything that isn't theirs and that they're not intended to have. The tree outside doesn't starve out the grass and the shrubs around it by its massive root system because it's big and it can do it. It doesn't. It allows its roots to intertwine with all of the other species of plants and shrubs and trees around it. It shares the nutrients within the soil. It doesn't kill them. It supports them. It protects them. It gives them shade in the summer, and it helps them with a little bit of covering with its leaves during the wintertime. So there is a cooperation and a love amongst all of these creatures. So when you look at the 10 Commandments, you need to look at them with different eyes. That's a long answer. That's a long answer there for you, but John, but I appreciate the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. So let me see. Go to somebody else here. Mike Fryer. Mike, can you hear me? Mike Fryer, can you hear me? Mike, do you have a question? Let me see here. Trying to bring you in here on Mike. Mike, can you hear me? All right, doesn't look like Mike can hear me. So let me put him back on hold. Go to the attendees. Teresa Brewer. Teresa Brewer. Do you have a question, Teresa? Let me see, Teresa, if I can get you on here and unmute your mic. Apologize for the delay, folks. Making this work is a little bit more of a task than I anticipated, but doesn't look like that's working. Doesn't look like I can reach. Oh, Teresa, it says that you're unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. Do you have a question for us, Teresa?
Actually, no, Derek, I'm just enjoying the whole thing. I didn't know you were going to call on me, but I appreciate it.
All right. Well, love having you here.
Thank you for all you do. God bless you.
God bless you. So let me see. Let's go to Tommy Famorio. Tommy Famorio. Trying to bring you on there, Tommy.
Hello?
Hello, Tommy. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Wow.
Do you have a question?
Okay. So pretty much, yeah, wait, this is different. Wow, I'm actually on this. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Pretty much what happened is, I've always been having dreams about, like, pretty much, they're very Avenger X-Men like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so much question. Oh my God. Wow. And pretty much what happens is literally like I'm 20, right? And Nadi even told us how each age, like there's the age of, like each age of the crystal children or the children who, the light workers. Yeah. There's a 20-year-olds, the 40-year-olds and the 60-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know more about that. Cause like, it's just really hard because I don't know anyone like me, right? Like I don't want to say lonely, but it is, right?
Sure.
And I just want to, like, that's my first question. Like, can you just talk more about that?
Sure. Well, what I would call light workers or what I would call, watchers, there are lots of different, when, again, I don't like giving names or boxes, right? Light worker is kind of an innocuous name, so it's okay. But whenever we give something a name, it can be attacked. So let's just say, that you are a truth worker, right? Or a light worker. And, or some people say, oh, well, I'm an empath or I'm, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
That you've received something because you're intended to receive it. Now I'm going to compare this. It's crazy that, that movie last night in watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind again for the first time in probably 25 years is that this people that were intended to receive the message received it. And the people that were the people that needed to hear and to spread and that participate in it were encouraged to go. Now they were quite, you've got Richard Dreyfuss who built this mountain out of all the plants and shrubs and dirt and rocks in his yard right in the middle of his living room. That's essentially what we are today, right? That when you have these things, it's lonely. His family leaves him, right? She takes his kids and runs off because to her, he's completely lost his noodles.
Mm.
But to us and to everybody having these conversations and these synchronicities and these similarities in the things that we see, there is an incredibly tight bond. And it's the same way within that movie. So it's not any different. It's truly remarkable that the creative minds of man, going all the way back, to 1977 and beyond that, are so filled with this. I mean, look at if you ever, get a chance, watch the Twilight Zone. Watch how much truth is within those Twilight Zone episodes. It's staggering, right? So that's really what it is. And when you say that it's lonely, it is to a degree, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, in that loneliness, just because you don't get along, and it's not that you don't get along because you refuse to be like them. It's that it's literally impossible for you to think like them.
Yeah, like the thing is, like, I started watching this show called I believe it's Alternated Carbon, something like that, on Netflix. And like the entire show is just about pretty much human bodies. Like, no one really cares about the human body anymore. Pretty much they just call human bodies sleeves, right?
Yeah.
So you have a consciousness that you can literally change your human body but keep your conscious mind. And like shows like that is where I really learned a lot of like the truth. Like you even said it, like CNN is BS. We all know that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, a lot of shows, like even like shows like anything from cartoons to even let me try to find an example. Like even like the Avengers, things like that. It really just gives you a glimpse of the future. So my second question is, like, may I ask a second question or?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So my second question is pretty much on the 12 tribes, right? Because I believe I found, but I don't want to really just cement that yet. Okay, in the Bible it says the 12 tribes are from, like, the 144,000 are from the 12 tribes.
Yes.
More on that, because the thing is, I remember you said something that has to do with when Satan took one soul, he split them into multiple pieces and spread them out. So like, is that the case, or are there actually like 144,000 people, or like mutants or something like that?
Well, I'll give you the examples of ancient scripture and ancient hieroglyphs and cryptography that are within the Egyptian temples. Obviously, the story of Set and within the Egyptian temple in the Tower of or in the Pyramid of Giza, they have starfish everywhere. Now, those aren't stars in heaven. They are literally starfish with the markings on them. And starfish are unique in a way that if you cut up a starfish into 100 pieces, each piece will grow into a replica of the original starfish. So you can't really kill them by chopping them up. And that is essentially that us, from our soul standpoint, I got this light here, draws all the flies in here, and doggies and horses outside. The soul is powerful enough and strong enough in a single form that it can be spliced up. Now, this is according to ancient scriptures, right? That we were cut up into multiple pieces, and that's why that's why we are all of one body. We are all of the same family. We are not of multiple families. We're of one family. We might look different here or look different over there. Now, all of those pieces might have been what I would assume would be kind of the original 12 pieces. Or you have to keep in mind, according to scripture, there aren't 12 tribes. There's actually 13.
Yeah.
Now, there's 13 tribes, and Ephraim and Manasseh are interchangeable, so that when Ephraim is present within the 12 tribes, but there's only 12 assembled at any given time.
Okay.
There's never 13 assembled. There's only 12 assembled at any given time within the scriptures. Now, the 13th assemblage of them could represent, in what I see as the light workers being of all of the tribes and being one. And then you have the 12 tribes, because in scripture, whenever Manasseh is present, Ephraim isn't. And whenever Ephraim's present, Manasseh isn't. But we also have 13 astrological signs, which includes Ophiuchus, which only appears in certain intervals, which we have Ophiuchus right now visible within our cosmological system, but it always isn't visible. So Nadi's in the chat room. I'm sure Nadi is taking a look at this, and the constellation of Ophiuchus is very present right now. So also remember that there were 12 disciples and Christ being the 13th. Christ also being the representation of Ophiuchus being present, that when Ophiuchus is present, the Christ consciousness rises up. So this is where we're also at today. This is why the Christ consciousness is coming. This is why the light workers are coming. This is why all of this is taking place. But those 12 tribes represent potentially 12 of, let's say if there were 12 original children that were chopped up into pieces that made up all of the people, those would represent those.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So I don't want to hold up anyone else. And I just want to ask you one more thing. Like, is there any way that I can find like people around my age that are also into this? So like we can talk or like anything like that, like maybe like a group chat or anything like that.
Have you gone on to the Global Witness site?
Yeah, I should be on. Yeah, I went on it, but like, I don't know. It's just.
I'm going to set up a Discord channel that will also be linked to that as well. So on that Discord will be a group chat where rather than chatting individually on there, that we will have a collective Discord chat within globalwitness.me. So that'll be up over the next day or two. So look for that there.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Tommy, where are you calling from?
Oh, Ontario.
Ontario.
So I'm from Naughty Beavers Land.
Naughty Beavers Land. All right. So go knock on Naughty Beaver's door for me. All right. I'll talk to you soon. I appreciate you calling.
Yep.
All right. So let me get to, let me see. I've got other people that have come on here. I've got Ray Cordier. Ray Cordier. Let's see if you've come on. Let me unmute you here. Ray, can you hear me? It doesn't say that you're unmuted, even though I've unmuted you.
Hello.
Yes, Ray, I
Hi.
can hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I do. I can hear you. Do you have a question for me today?
Hello, Spirit family. Hey, yeah, I have a question regarding the suspension process and just stripping everything down and getting rid of attachments. You know, being this.
Yeah, I can't hear you very well. You're quite echoey. Sounds like you're far away from your microphone.
Yeah, I'm in a vehicle.
All right. So you asked a question about the ascension process. I couldn't quite hear it.
Yeah, it's a process. It's incredible. So everything is being stripped away from me, and I'm being put in that place. As far as everything goes, I mean, is it faster? Should we do it faster? It takes time.
Yeah, Ray, I can't hear you at all. But what I heard, and now it's telling me that your audio is. I guess it's cut your audio. I'm not. I'm trying to get you back on here, but from what I heard is that you said that the ascension process that you're going through and that you're feeling that ascension process is tough. I didn't quite hear fully what you said. I apologize. Let me try to. Yeah, it's showing that there is no microphone now where your name is on my end. So I apologize for that. I'm going to try to go to somebody else. Maybe I'll hopefully be able to get to you. I'll keep looking at your name to see if that microphone pops back up. So I'm going to go to, let me see. I've got Cheryl McClurg. Cheryl McClurg. Can you hear me, Cheryl? Cheryl McClurg. Hopefully this, I've unmuted your microphone, Cheryl. Hopefully I can bring you on here. Doesn't seem to want to work. All right, that's not working. So sorry about that, Cheryl. It definitely wouldn't come up. I've got Arnold Jewett. Arnold Jewett. Arnold, can you hear me?
Yes, I can clearly hear you.
Great. Arnold, do you have a question today?
I got a question that's been on my mind since I was a young child.
Okay.
Are new souls created, or is there a finite number of them?
Well, according to all scriptures, there's a finite number of souls. That's why they're held, and it speaks of the guff, that they are held in the guff, and that when the guff is empty, the end of the age comes. So that's a great question, and that's what I mean by the finite number of souls, is that that there is an even number, and considering that they are made up of just specific tribes according to these scriptures, and that they are all connected, this would also point to that ancient look at the Egyptians' understanding of it, is that these souls seem to be replicated, and that they are incarnated in order to build up specific energies and then recycled. And that's what the Egyptians had shown, and the ancient texts. We're talking that predate the Bible by a long, long time. So when you think about those things, you do have to consider that. And I consider these things as, when I'm seeking for these truths and I find these things in these ancient scriptures, I then relate them to how I feel, and how I feel about somebody, or when I meet somebody, and that our souls seem to be of one, seem to be connected. We might think different, talk different, have different careers, different countries, different races even, but yet somehow feel inextricably linked to each other. And so you know, when they say soulmate, I believe that there are many souls that are mates, right? I think that many people are finding that the synchronicities that we have in and of ourselves is because we are of the same soul family, that we are part of that. Now, our lack of understanding doesn't mean that it's not true. Our lack of teaching of these things doesn't mean that it's not true. In fact, I, to myself, find more truth in the feelings that I have than anything I've read. And that feeling that I have, that connection that I have with people, is far more powerful than anything I've read or been taught. Can you still hear me there?
Yeah.
Arnold?
Yep, that answers my question.
All right. Now, you said you've had that question for a very long time. How long has that question been a part of your thinking?
50 years.
50 years. Yeah. Well, yes. Well, according to those scriptures, there is a finite amount, and I'm sure that you're connected. And you've probably known when you've connected with those other ones that are part of you. I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, Arnold. Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate you taking the time to ask a question.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to go to, I've got Gordon McWhorter. Gordon, let me bring you on here, Gordon. I should have you on. Gordon, you're.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes.
How are you?
Boom.
Sir? You're on.
Baby love, brother. Yes, sir.
How are things going?
Are doing this. We are doing this.
It's happening.
Oh yeah, so much love for you guys out there. I'm holding on to every one of you. This is happening, you guys. It is so exciting. We have nothing to do but celebrate now. This is it.
Absolutely. So, Gordon, are you up there right now with Rick? Are you up in the Monument Valley area?
Huge shout out to Rick and Jeanette. I am not. Love Matters and I came back from Hopi Land about 2-3 weeks ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeanette and Rick, oh my gosh, you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for your work, your hard labor, angel wings.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you going up there and helping take care of those folks up there. We've got the location mapped out. Did you see the location from Google Earth here that I showed earlier, Gordon?
Yes, sir. And I have also a map out there I've been spamming on globalwitness.me. It's a personal Google map I've got set up for us. So if you want to put places and mark out, like Mexican Hat has great bread and breakfasts. If you guys need to get into towns, there's going to be excellent coverage on my map if you guys want to use that.
Terrific. Well, I'm showing the Flying Eagle Monument right now. Now, the amazing part about this is I just want to tell you is that, you know, when I originally looked at this area, I was attracted to some of the other monuments. There's some more pronounced monuments in Monument Valley, but for whatever reason, I was drawn to this Eagle Monument and right inside that beak. Now, that was months ago. And when when Rick came down and he saw me, he said to me, you know, I found this incredible place, you know, and it's this little covered kind of cavern, and it's just amazing. And he was describing it and said it had RVs in it. And I was like, I think you're talking about the place on the globe that I've already found, and described it to a T. And then he sent me the GPS coordinates of it so I could look it up. And this is exactly it. So it's you can see the eagle, folks, right there. You got the eye, you got the beak of the eagle and the bottom of the beak, and even kind of the muscle. So if this was an ancient bird, that was one big eagle there. So, but
oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you can see right here inside the monument. You see where the RVs is. This is where we'll be. And
wow.
And Naughty Beaver, Naughty, your tent's going to be up there if you do show up. I know you're not coming, but you know. So,
he's gonna do it. He's gonna surprise us, isn't he? It's just gonna be a huge surprise to see him out there.
I don't know, but we've got some folks coming. We've got Rex Bear, we've got Jeffrey Doherty. I'm working at some other channels right now. Jacob Israel would love to come. He can't, but he's probably going to participate remotely, so we might be able to bring him in on some live shows. I am right now working on the live internet. The live internet truck will give us a constant bandwidth, so even everybody in the camp would have access to email and online that we would and keep in mind, out at this location there is zero. Gordon, you've been out there. There is zero bandwidth, right?
Zero.
Yeah, zero. So there is no cell service. It's very, very limited. There's very, very little that you can do out there from a technology standpoint. So we need a large satellite truck, you know, kind of like, and the truck that we're looking at bringing is the same thing that they would have for a live television event. It's not a joke, and it's about the only thing that we can have that would allow us to be able to go live. So we'll do live shows from there. We'll have a bonfire right here inside this camp, and yeah, and from there every single night we will reconvene from the adventures into to a surrounding area, into the caves, and we're gonna ask some of the people of the clans. We're gonna find out what they know. We're also going to be looking for the camera crews that are out there, as we're told from this company, that are trying to shoot from what I've been told, an alien coming off of a spacecraft. And considering the size of the company and the name of the company, let's just put it this way: there are very few companies in the world that people would believe that they had video getting off of a spacecraft of some alien, except maybe a couple aircraft companies and Jet Propulsion Laboratories or NASA, that the masses would believe, is what I'm saying. Right. So, like I said, Scripture says that he will come with a bow. Keep in mind, it doesn't say that he will come with a bow and arrows. It just says that he'll come with a bow. So I don't know what good that bow would be without any arrows, right? But we'll see.
Derek, I want to share a dream with you. Had the night of the Las Vegas shootings.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that they were dying there. I was asleep and I was dreaming about being on a beautiful green grass field with everybody. And we had these rainbow halos around our heads as we watched 4 city-sized spaceships leave into the sky.
Interesting. Well, you know, it's so funny. Last night when Malia and I were watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and the bottom door of the craft opened up, and they asked, I'm trying to just lost his name. I said it earlier and all of a sudden lost it. Richard Dreyfuss. They asked Richard Dreyfuss if he wanted to go on and go back with them. And he said, yeah. And Malia asked me, she goes, what would you do? I said, man, I'd be running onto that thing. Get me out of here.
Sir. I'll be the first one on there. You guys are going to have to catch up.
I said, you've seen my dancing video? That will be me dancing all the way up that platform. Get me off this planet,
bro. You save a hug for me when we get out there. You save a hug for me, brother.
Will do, sir. All right, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Love you guys.
Love you much. Talk to you soon. So, yeah, that's Gordon. He's already been up to that area. And let me try to close that out here. Try to bring somebody else on before I've got Horace Douglas. see if I can bring you on here, Horace. You're unmuted. Horace, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Do you have a question?
No, actually I don't. I was just setting up the Zoom, because I just think this is cool. But I do have one thing to say though. When you talk about, actually it was an event, I guess you could say, that happened because I've been studying, ancient civilizations and scriptures and Nag Hammadi and all that. And like you talk about the Bible, it's like positive and negative. The New Testament, the New Testament is positive, really, to me. And the Old Testament is really negative, sacrifices and all that. Well, I had read, I don't even remember where I heard it from, but somebody mentioned just what you were talking about the little G and big G God and all in the Old Testament. And my father, and anyway, after I heard that, about 2 weeks later, you did a show on that. So, and I was like, wow, that just kind of solidified that, for me,
Yeah.
And my father being a very staunch Bible person, he would, the Bible's the word, he believes everything in it, And I just was discussing this with him, and he's like, wow, that makes sense. And my father's like 80 years old, and it really resonated with him, and that just really made me feel good. It's like, wow, maybe there's really something to it. I'm not just crazy, good, but a lot of other people you try to tell this to, and they, just think you're freaking nuts,
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to be showing up on the screen right now, something that you can take a look at. It says, this is 2 Corinthians 4:4, which I've spoken of before.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, folks, look at this. It says, the God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers. Now, notice God is lowercase here, so that they cannot see the light of the gospel, which is the good news, which is truth, that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of uppercase God.
Yeah.
So the God of this world. So anybody that tells you that there is not a God of this world and that Satan isn't the God of this world, and yet they are a Christian and believe very much in Pauline doctrines, understand that Paul right here was being incredibly honest and telling you and being very in front of your face, showing you that the God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers. So now, when a Christian today has been taught, they've been told that the God of this age, that God has blinded the minds. Well, God is of love. God, the Father, is the attributes of the Father is love, forgiveness, all of it. Isn't the wrath, it isn't the anger, and it's certainly not about blinding you and making you dumb, right? So the God of this age, not the God of all ages, right? So immediately, this doesn't even apply to the God which is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Right. So this God of this age is the God of this age, not of the old one, not of the new one, but of this age. So that isn't and couldn't be the Father. So that's a scripture that you can show your father just to highlight that. It is a scripture that wakes up Christians quite often. And I'm not a big fan of Paul for many reasons, but I don't hold it against him either. I understand that Paul is just as afflicted as the rest of us, but Paul has a lot of spiritual truths. But the one thing that he was doing here is telling the truth, because the Old Testament also testifies to this in 2 Samuel, as I've shown as a very, very good example of also showing you could show your father 2 Samuel chapter 24, where David is asked to count the people for taxation and war by God. And then in the very, very same chapter, he has to ask for forgiveness and repent for doing exactly what God asked him to do. And he has to repent to apparently the same God, but it's not. So that's quite clear within those scriptures. So those are two very good examples that you can use with your father in showing those things.
Okay, that was 2 Samuel.
2 Samuel chapter 24.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, Horace, and join in next time. We'll be doing this more often here on YouTube. That this allows me to bring callers onto YouTube is terrific.
Yeah, I think this is excellent, because there's sometimes I have a question, and I want to bounce it off of you, and it can't always get through, and I don't like really leaving a question out there because you might not answer, because I know you're so busy, and but a lot of times those
you know, if I just, you know, think on it and God kind of reveals it to you, you know, as time goes on, if you're, you know, focused on it, you know, I found for myself anyway. But anyway, I don't want to hold anybody up. I wasn't expecting to get on here. So, but anyway, I love you guys. Love you. And thanks for everything you do.
Love you too. Thank you much for calling in. All right. So, terrific. So I've got somebody, I've got X13. I'm not quite sure who you are, but X13. Oops, allowed. Oh, that one didn't work either. Hold on. Boy, these things jump all around as well. This is almost as bad as X13. I'm clicking it, X13. I'm trying to get you there. X13, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Do you have a
Oh
question?
my God. Yes, I do. It might be like sort of the same as that guy that was cutting out in the
Yes.
car.
Okay.
But with the awakening process, I've been helping a lot of people, but sometimes my energy gets drained massively and I'm just wrecked for no reason.
You know, that's why I try to help everybody avoid what I call the, you know, the energy draconians, right? The energy vampires. And this is precisely where scripture, and this is where scripture also really helps when Christ said, go into the household and tell them your words. And if they accept your words, then let your peace come unto them. But if they fail to hear your words, let your peace return to you, shake off the dust from your boots and leave. Don't let them basically take anything from you. Don't let anybody.
That's what I struggle with.
Yeah, don't let them take your peace because it's not that important. Because look, it's not important for you to be right in an argument, right? It doesn't help you to be right in an argument. It's not going to help you. It doesn't matter whether you're right. It only matters what's true. And so don't get into an argument. Don't let yourself get dragged down. Don't let them take your peace from you. Your peace is all you have. And to be drained to such a degree of your peace. I mean, and this is where judgment of others really applies, is that you're not judging them. Folks, listen to this very carefully. You're not to judge the other person because they're blind, they're asleep, they're dead, they're in this world, they're of sin. You will never be able to exalt yourself above them. Anything where you say, I have this better than you is pride, right?
Yeah.
Or talking about, well, I do this and you don't do that. Like the scripture that I read, the parable of the Pharisee saying, you know, thank you, Father, for not making me like these idiots. And then the guy saying, well, Father, forgive me because I'm an idiot. And Christ said that guy goes by justified, right? And not the Pharisee that didn't break any law.
Yes.
Humility. That's the guy that has peace. He has peace because he recognizes that he's a failed man. He recognizes he's born into sin. He recognizes that he is in this world. Don't let anybody take that peace from you.
It's just hard. It's very hard to watch people stuck. You know what I mean? I wish I could wake, like everyone wishes they could wake everybody up, but it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. There isn't anything you can, you know, if they look, I mean, you can watch it. And funny, I was talking to Jacob Israel about this, is that you can watch the movie They Live, right? And during They Live, boy, this fly, I'm telling you right now, I'm about to bust out a hand grenade on this one. Got one fly in here. That's the price of being around horses and in the desert, right? So
that's all right. You're in a good spot.
Yeah, it's a good spot, but you know, they definitely they're very aggressive flies out here. The valley is riddled with them. So but during the movie They Live, there is the character Roddy Rod Piper is trying to put the glasses on his friend so he can see, and what ensues is the longest fight in movie history. It is this massive battle that is they beat the crap out of each other. This character is not going to put on the glasses. He will fight tooth and nail. They do not want to see this truth but you also have to understand at the same time, you have to be compassionate for them, because if they don't want to see this truth so badly, right? The reason why they don't want to is because it's disruptive. You know, it's disruptive. It alters your world. Everything changes. It's hard to accept these truths because then you've got to do something about it. And it's like starting from scratch. Now, just with that said, what do you think born again means? Right? That's what born again
You're
means.
exactly right. You're exactly right.
You're literally being born again. It's like you just birthed into this world and you're like, crap, everything's new. And I got to learn to talk, walk,
Yeah.
work, live, speak, everything all over again.
Everything that you thought was real isn't. Exactly.
That's
you have
what
to
born
relearn
again
everything.
means. And they don't want to be born again. They're like, I just got good at being a liar and a manipulator, right? I just got good at screwing over the people in my company so I can make myself wealthy. I don't want to change anything.
Yes, you are very right. You are very right.
Well, I appreciate you you calling in. What area are you calling from?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia. I watch you all the time.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You're one of my
I love
favorite
Melbourne.
people.
I love Melbourne. I spent quite a bit of time in Sydney and Melbourne. The Kazaa network that I was working on. If you remember the Kazaa file sharing network, we were based in Vanuatu, and our corporate offices were in Sydney. And I spent some time in Melbourne with some folks when we did a film called Lightning Jack with Paul Hogan. So I've gone through there. I've spent a little bit of time there. I love the area.
Hopefully next time you're here, we can meditate together.
That would be awesome. Would appreciate
That would be
it.
cool.
All right,
All
man.
right, brother. I love you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Thanks for jumping on, and thanks for next time. Now you're registered on there, so now I'll look for you next time we have a show. And you got questions, you just jump right on. Okay.
I knew I was going to talk to you. The father told me ages ago. I just didn't realize how it was going to happen. And then a few weeks later, you set this up, and it happens. I told my fiance that I was going to talk to you, and I was going to talk to Rex Bear. I don't know why, but I'm going to talk to Rex at some point as well.
Well, that's how it happens. He lets you know, and you just stand on it and rest in it, and know that it's going to happen, and it'll happen.
It's beauty. It's beauty.
It sure is. All right, man.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you calling. We'll talk soon.
All right, man.
Okay. Bye-bye. So I don't want to go a whole lot longer. It's already almost 2 hours. As I said earlier, I wanted to try to do this, make this a little shorter, but I'm going to go to Warrior Princess. Warrior Princess, how are you today? I've bringing you on here. Let me see. I did bring you on. I clicked allow to talk, trying to allow you to talk. Unmute. Warrior Princess, how are you?
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
How you doing, Derek?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
All right. Love you so much.
Love you too. Did you have a question today? You just calling and listening?
I did have a question. How did your awakening process start, dear?
Well, the awakening process for me was, I described a little while back that for me, it was like somebody came, took my brain out of my head and replaced it with somebody else's brain. I was the same person. I spoke the same. I walked the same. I looked the same in the mirror, but I wasn't the same person. Although I had my memories, I had all new understandings of everything. And with that, it was a complete shattering of the world that I thought that I knew, and only through researching and looking at it in scriptures could I confirm the things that I was shown. So when I had seen these things and been shown these things, and I'm talking to you about everything from a cosmological standpoint, from a calendar standpoint, from a math standpoint, what was wrong with our math, what was wrong with our psychological programs, what was wrong with our schools, what was wrong with this country, what was wrong with the world in general, what was wrong from a geological standpoint on the planet, where certain continents used to be, you name it. So many details that it was overwhelming. It was painful. It was a painful process. And it was so abrupt that I would say that it almost killed me, because from a physical standpoint, I couldn't come to terms with so many different new things. And that's what I mean by letting people know that we're gradually leading you into these understandings of these truths, because as the truths are revealed, the apocalypse means the great revealing. When things are revealed, it's a painful process. And for many, it will be death. They will seek death and it will flee from them, because they're going to be completely shattered when everything takes place. So this is why, I felt that I was intended to experience that, and that I was made to experience that in order for me to be able to say what's going to happen in the future to many, and so to prepare you for it. That's how that came about.
Wow. That was powerful.
Yeah, and Kathleen Sharp is asking when that happened. There was a leading up to it where I could feel it coming, and I can't really explain it. It was as if somebody was connecting to me, and that took place over the end of 2012 and 2013, and it was almost me trying to ignore all of this was happening, and then all of it culminated in the end of 2013, beginning of 2014, like a bomb, just an explosion. And I mean, when I tell you details, I could tell you about ancient scriptures that I had never read before nor heard of. And it wasn't the ancient scriptures that I could tell you about, it was the ancient meanings and names. I had no idea at that time about any ancient deities or ancient gods. I had no idea who Enki and Enlil were, but immediately I was given those names. I kept looking for Enki and Enlil, going, what does that mean? I didn't know what it meant. So it was a startling thing, but not just Enki and Enlil, but we're talking hundreds of thousands of other names that I was given that were also names that in English wouldn't make any sense. They're names I couldn't even explain, and languages that made no sense to me in English. I couldn't translate the languages. I knew what the language meant. I knew what it said. I knew what it was saying. I knew what the sound was, but I couldn't tell you how to translate it into English. It's what made me also realize that the English language is incredibly limited and designed to deceive. Tell you, this one fly is really part of this show right now. One fly, just one. So I appreciate Warrior Princess. I've seen you on quite a bit of times. It's the very first time I've got to hear from you. So it's nice to be able to hear people's voice and be able to connect with people. I appreciate you calling in.
I have one more question for you.
Yes.
Were you experiencing any type of difficulties before your transition?
I wouldn't say difficulties as much as I was being pushed. I had spent my entire life working in the corporate world and building technology and always trying to take care of everybody. And the demands on my life, the have-tos, I call them, right? I have to do that. I have to get up for this meeting. I got to go to that board meeting. I got to be on this conference call. I got to respond to these emails. It was staggering at how much of a load was on me. This fly is going to kill me, man. I'm just going to lose it on it. It was amazing that the fly, yes, this fly is the enemy on the wall. People are commenting about the fly. I tell you, the fly is the star of the show. But what had happened is the pressure was put on me to such a degree that I think that was a preparation for me that I almost wanted to explode from it. I didn't know how to tear it down. I didn't know what I could do to stop it. It was just all of the fundamental elements of my life. Everything was an overwhelming waterfall of pressure. And I could handle it. I've done that my whole life, but for whatever reason, I had come to the end of my thread on it, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I couldn't explain to you. That was about the only thing that kind of led up to it. But I was just like, I'm finished with that. I would like to just go away. And at the same time, I kind of invited it. I kind of said, let me let this just be done. Let's just make this go away. Forget it. It's all over. I'm just not going to do any of this anymore. And it was kind of at that point that everything came to pass, that I was then slammed with kind of, I would say, an assembling of the code that I had been downloaded. Then it was assembled. And once it was assembled, it was all over.
Ouch. Okay.
But it was not fun.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I hope that helps you answer some questions that you might have inside.
Yes, it does. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
All right. Well, I appreciate you calling. All right. Well, with that, I would like to go to the chat room here, and I'll try to see if there were any other questions barring this fly, because I tell you, I'm going to make this fly pay by trying to let him out. I'll try to just let him out. I will. I mean, he deserves to live and go be with the horses over here. But, it's amazing that it gets cool in here gets cool here inside the fifth wheel here. So when you open the door, the cool air from the warm air outside, they want to come into this cool air. So it's pretty difficult to keep them out of here. So I apologize for the distractions of the flies, but the fly deserves his little bit of life. So I'll try to let him out. So I'll go here into the chat room and answer some questions. So Gary Rosenquist is asking if I got a truck yet. No, we have not gotten a truck yet. Somebody had started a fundraiser to raise some funds. I think they raised $600 towards a truck. I really appreciate that. Mark had done that, and the truck to pull this trailer will be a little bit, but for the event, we will be renting some RVs to take out there. That will, and keep in mind, folks, it's the RV is also going to double for a little studio that we'll be broadcasting live out of. So it's not like we're trying to live in luxury. I would much rather stay in a tent. But Best Damn Podcast is asking when I will be doing Blog Talk again. Well, if I could do the caller in on YouTube here, I'll completely ignore Blog Talk, but I might try to do another one of those again. It's quite entertaining to be able to talk to everybody, for me at least, because I get to hear real voices and real comments, not ones just written. So we'll try to get to that. But if I can refine this process here and have callers, I think this would be a much better format. So Wendy Burns asked Derek, did you have a feeling since you were young that there was a purpose like your awakening that was to happen one day? I can tell you quite honestly, yes. I always knew it from day one. I can't explain how I knew it. I just knew it. And everybody that knew me knew that. So many people had, I would mention that. I would mention that, somehow I always felt like I had missed my calling, even though I was an executive at Microsoft and at Paramount, but somehow I had missed my calling. And it was to me, that in having missed that calling, I didn't know what that calling was, but I never felt comfortable doing what I was doing, even though I was really good at it, but I never felt like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. So, Catherine Willie says, maybe next time. Thank you, Catherine. I didn't see you in the question. We have about, I don't know, I can't really see. It says 26 participants that were waiting for call-ins. So thank you very much, everybody, for calling in, and we will do this more often. So keep your Zoom login handy. Everybody, if you want to be able to call in on the next show that I have this, make sure that you've signed up on Zoom conferencing, and that you'll be able to come on. And if you can, come on with video. I'm happy to bring you on with video as well. So I appreciate everybody showing up today. And Best Damn Podcast says, it's crazy how we are born knowing our destiny on a basic level. Yes, we do. All of you know it. You already know what you're intended to do. You know your destiny. You can't change your destiny. All you can do is change and alter your fate. You will end up accomplishing what you're set out to accomplish. See, now here's a perfect. So Bruno's Calazans. I'm just going to point this out. So Bruno, I'm going to point this out. And Bruno, this is what I'm talking about by a dogmatic statement. You all need to know that Jesus Christ and Azazel is the same person. First of all, that would be a dogmatic statement, because I could tell you right now from an ancient scripture standpoint, it doesn't say that. It doesn't even insinuate it. But In fact, it would insinuate quite different. If you go back to the Levitical priesthood and you go back to Leviticus and the original writings within the Dead Sea Scrolls, where the lamb, which would be Christ, is sent out to Azazel. So that is the sacrificial lamb. Essentially, there are two lambs. One lives, one dies. That's in the ancient Levitical priesthood. And Leviticus comes from a much older text. So see, that's what I'm talking about by a dogmatic statement. To make a statement without any backing, or being able to make a statement with a much more in-depth understanding as to what you're saying, is a dogmatic statement that leads people in the wrong direction. But if somebody wants to look that up and bring that up, prove it, show it, send it to me, I highly doubt you'll find it. So, but just an example of that dogmatic statement. I'm not trying to beat up on you, Bruno. I'm just saying, send it to me in email. Don't come in and dogmatically say something that's a statement. It's a dogmatic statement without being able to give people an in-depth understanding as to why you're saying that, right? When somebody comes up and says, Jesus is Zeus and he's the devil, or Jesus is Lucifer, all the time. Everybody's got a different opinion, right? Don't give your opinion. If that's your truth, fine, it's your truth. But it isn't the truth anywhere in any text unless you can find that and show that to me. I can probably destroy what you'll bring me, because I could tell you it's just not the case. So let me see. Naughty Beaver message, Apollo 14, Edgar Mitchell, Ingo Swan, 0 Point Energy in 1871. Don't really know what all of that means, but that took a lot of typing. And first of all, the name Jesus, as we know, is very new. It wasn't around during Christ's day, because the letter J didn't exist, just to reiterate for those of you who don't know. Derek, was Azazel buried under Mount Hermon by Archangel Uriah? Well, Azazel was bound hand and foot and cast into the earth, according to the Book of Enoch, and covered by jagged stones. So those jagged rocks. So if I were to say, if Azazel was buried and covered under jagged rocks and has to be let back out, the only evidence we have from an archaeological standpoint that something like that could have taken place somewhere is actually Antarctica, which could explain why the governments of the world are so interested in what is in Antarctica. And the ice would be considered the jagged rocks that he was covered in, considering that Antarctica at one point, because we have maps as early as 2,000 years old, and even some earlier ones than that show Antarctica and its continent without ice. So the covering up of ice, to me, in Antarctica would have been covering up Azazel with jagged rocks, as described in the Book of Enoch. So everybody, if you follow the words of Christ, Sheila Abrams says, Jesus came to tell us of the Christ, not for us to worship him. Yes, he came to tell you that Christ is in you, that the kingdom is within you, and to accept your seat in that kingdom. If you do that, you will find the Father. If you find the Father, then you'll be able to say what Christ said, that if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. I love you very much, everybody. I'm so happy that you were that you came by today to watch this. It's 4:05. That means we've gone a little bit over 2 hours. I love you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow.